Hello, folks. Richard Moore, USAGSA. And today I've got a targeted individual, James Campbell. It's Campbell, right?
Yes.
And James is in Texas, the Dallas Fort Worth area. And his targeting began in another state. And he's got a lot to tell us about his targeting. And this targeting, by the way, is a product of, in part, the COPS program. You may know it as Neighborhood Watch, Community Oriented Policing, which we refer to as gang stalking. And these are groups of individuals working community organizations and local members of the community working hand in hand with law enforcement to put targeted individuals under 24-hour, 7 days a week surveillance, harassment, torture, and their goal is to annihilate the target. And this takes place over a long period of time. It's a death by 1,000 paper cuts. They work to discredit you with rumors, and they set out to destroy your reputation, destroy the family mechanism, to isolate the targeted individual. And then this ends in one of three ways. Many targeted individuals take their own lives or end up dead. We don't have the real numbers on that, and probably never will. Many of them end up with life in prison or confined to a mental institution. This happens, it is happening to thousands of Americans in plain sight. And what we're doing is we're exposing this program, the people behind the program, and the people responsible for it. And one way we do this is by letting victims of targeting, of government funded torture and genocide, tell their stories. And so we're going to let James tell us what's going on with him. So I want you to listen to this, encourage you to subscribe if you're not already subscribed to our channel, and to share. We'll have links there's links in the channel description, and there'll also be links in the description of this video on how you can become more involved with our cause of exposing this corruption and supporting USAGSA. We're completely supported by our listeners and followers. And without that, we couldn't do what we're doing. So I encourage you to use the link in the channel description or in the description of this video. And you can also follow our blogs, become a Patreon, and get information and details that are not shared on any other platforms, especially if you're a targeted individual and would like more information or like to be in constant communication with myself and others that are working to expose this and to help other targeted individuals. Okay, James, tell us about yourself and tell everybody what's going on.
All right. Well, I'm originally from Pittsburgh. I'm 41 years old. My targeting began fall of 2023 when I moved back from Cincinnati. Noticed a lot of people just around, like just a lot of stuff that TIs noticed. I was living back with my father at the time, and I'll go into him a little bit later. But I know that my own family set me up for this. And I know this because I have a conviction, a nonviolent conviction from 2007. I had applied for a pardon for that conviction, and I was denied the hearing in June of 2022. It's a nonviolent gun charge. There are no other charges on my record. I have a juvenile mental health history from being in from an RTS. Okay, but I mean, as far as actual criminal activity, I don't have anything. Um, but I have family members. Ed Vincent, he's the current commissioner of Reserve Township. He knows District Attorney Steven Zappala. My brother is personal friends with him. Zappala is the things they say about him, as far as people around him like having misfortunes. Yes. I met his son. I never met Mr. Zappala personally, but everybody I've talked to about him, it's nothing good. It's just and I had no idea like that I would ever be gang stalked. Like I kept my criminal record. I went to college 7 weeks. I started business after the conviction. I pled guilty to a nonviolent felony, concurrent with terroristic threats, carrying. I legally bought the gun, but there was no carrying permit, and that's what
Right.
it is. So there was the 1.5 year probation for that, and the harder I worked to try to get that off my record, I just noticed like the blackballing, not so much the gang stalking, but the blackballing. I noticed like jobs I would go for, just like weird stuff would happen. Like I would often use employment agencies. And I mean, I got good jobs. I've gotten direct hired up to 25 an hour, employment agency. I've gotten almost 20 an hour with them. So even like with a felony, like I worked my way, like I have no other conviction. I've been working since I was 23, 24 years old to fix that, get my life back together. And I guess over the years, I just talked about too many people and through the process, and I was not being, malicious. I mean, certainly I had things, if I had an opinion about somebody in politics. I've personally met both Lieutenant Governor Mike Stack and John Fetterman. So I know I know a little bit about, the people that are in it, but I mean, I don't really know like how they run it or what they do. But what I can say is around the summer of like even before I moved out of my apartment in Cincinnati, they had a lot of illegals. Like I felt like I was being watched, and I actually received a message. It was in my notifications, and I opened it, and it was a YouTube link. It was basically just like a weird little video, and it was talking about being stalked by the Freemasons. And
Right.
it's just,
And when you use the word blackball, by the way,
mm-hmm,
that's uh, Freemason lingo. That's where that
mm-hmm.
word came from.
Okay. So I know that, and it means that like they either block you or they cause hindrances, and it's either them or it's somebody that you know. It may not always be the Freemasons, but I've noticed that this activity has gone on through the course of most of my life. Even in with a false. I got a false schizophrenia diagnosis when I was 17 years old, and I've had multiple doctors debunk
Well,
that.
that being the case, James, you said your targeting began in 2023.
Yeah,
But now it's sounding like it's a lot longer than that.
it's been set up for a lot longer, but I
Yes,
noticed it. It
that's
went when
usually
they
the
kicked
deal.
it. Yeah, they kicked it off in fall of 2023 or 2022. Actually, I apologize.
They ramped it up. I got you.
They ramped it up in fall, but almost 2 years ago they ramped it up, and I just started seeing the people standing around the corner doing the hand, like doing the signals, doing the handshakes, and it's just been all the creeps that have been described in the last couple videos you dropped over the last couple of days. I don't even want to repeat, but yes, I've seen the same thing that has been described by everybody else that is a targeted individual
Right,
in one form or another. And I've
right.
been through 22 states in just a little over the year. I've been in every city, and it's just like hell's broken loose all across America. It's very bizarre. But it's demonic.
And
You
I'll
know.
promise you, Texas is a hot spot for it.
Okay, yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, they're vicious in Texas.
Um, I mean, it's all over. It's everywhere. I mean, it's really global,
Right,
but it's all over the United States
right.
for sure. Um, so what I'm really trying to do, like I'm living where I work. I sleep right in the back, and I work here at Elephant Trunk Bins, which is moving supplies, which is basically just they rent bins out to people who are moving. And my boss is trying to get me a copy of my social security card in my mail, and they're trying to figure out like what the holdup is. And I even told them I haven't had my mail for a year. And
Right.
I've worked here for about 2.5 months now. He just entered my social security number. I know it off by heart into the system. And he just hired, and I have payroll and everything, but I have not been. I was doing Amazon packages, sleeping in my car, and I had, it was like sometimes it was gang stalkers, and sometimes it was even police officers that were just coming by and giving me signals and street theater and stuff.
Right.
And like I do have the screenshots of that, and I mean, as far as like a perfect explain, like I don't have like a way to explain what they did perfectly, but I mean, they do it constantly. The timing and placing of it is just like there's so many people that are either in on it or they're just, I don't know, the MK Ultra or just kind of. But there is definitely, in the last couple years, it's not just with the gang stalking. I mean, like entire cities have changed dramatically, and it's just the crime rate has skyrocketed. So not only is it us, the targeted individuals, like it's just a whole systemic process in of itself.
Of course.
So
This system, this program rather, is like I said, ran by law enforcement, and that's from the Department of Justice. It's their program all the way down.
yeah,
Their data is collected by Department of Homeland Security at Fusion Centers, which is private, has nothing to, not a federal agency, and they provide this detailed information to law enforcement only. And when I say detailed, your text message, your emails, telephone calls, where you work, where you sleep, eat, when you come home, everything. They've got this information. And there's nothing we can do about this mass surveillance. Every person in the United States of America, of the globe, moreover, with NSA and Department of Homeland Security fusion centers, there is no privacy. But when they take this information, and once you make the list as a targeted individual, you can't protest this. You can't petition to ask. There's no process to be removed from this list. They won't acknowledge that there is a list, that you're on it. And so you just have to accept it, what it is, and learn how to survive in spite of this. But the crime that you're talking about, the reason the crime rates are like they are is they want it like that. That's what feeds the beast. They keep the jails and the courtroom, all this stuff stays busy, and they get billions in federal grant money, and it's a vicious cycle. But that's the beast. Go ahead.
yes. So yeah, I mean, I have never been in car. Like I spent a week and a half in jail when I was arrested for the gun charge, and then after I filed a human trafficking and CYS report on an associate of my father in July
Tell
of
us about
last
that.
year.
What was
Yeah.
the
So
context of the report?
the context of the report in was basically somebody uh, assaulting his own daughter, which is like 11 or 12 years old, and this happened in
Assaulting or molesting?
sexual hand-on sexual contact.
Okay.
Yes.
And you reported that.
Yeah.
Well, that
I
probably didn't help your targeting, because when you report crimes like that, that'll get you on the list quick.
Yeah, I mean, I'm already a convicted felon, and I have been since when they call Trump a convicted felon, I'll own it proudly. And I mean, so this TI bullshit, I mean, like I've been in a year already. I mean, I don't want to have so much arrogance to make it worse, but at the same time, I can't leave it without responding to it and
Absolutely.
stating these facts for what they are.
Right.
And Commissioner Edward Vincent has been informed of the human trafficking report. The report number is 01426816, Crawford County, Pennsylvania.
It's in Pennsylvania. Okay.
Yep. And Shane McFeeney at 19343 Inlet Road is where it occurred. And I've gotten, like, when I got to Texas, okay, for an inexplicable reason, I was texted with about like a couple dozen cell phone numbers, and in that text chain was his cell phone number.
Really?
And so, I mean, I know that, as far as the TI system, everybody that has something on you or knows that you may know something about somebody, yes, they're not even hiding that they're not even hiding what they're doing. The only
No,
thing
they're not. Absolutely not. And when somebody asks or inquires, Well, we can't tell you everything. This person is, he's been investigated. We'll watch him. He's doing X, Y, Z, just whatever they want to make up.
Yeah. I mean, I've had police contact and I haven't been arrested. And I mean, like I've been, like I haven't had my mail for a year, and I've been concerned about like surprise warrants or anything like that. But as far as the trafficking report, I called up the Pennsylvania Attorney General's office. Officer Mike Vith, I used to live in Millville, PA, and he was a police officer. He's now the deputy chief in Aspinwall. So I sent it to him. He talked to a couple assistant prosecutors in Allegheny County. They all called up to Crawford County. All the while of this, I was extradited up there. I was in Allegheny County jail for the second time in my life on an ungraded misdemeanor marijuana charge that was withdrawn and then refiled without them telling me. I got picked up by the police because I lost my wallet, and I called the cops to be like, hey, I was around here. Have you seen a wallet? And
so misdemeanor marijuana possession. Are this the same people? Or the same
Crawford
area
County,
where you reported the child molestation?
Crawford County. Yeah. Yep. Same Crawford County.
Didn't do anything about that.
Yeah. No, I had to pay a fine on the marijuana and a fine for sending threatening texts, but they did nothing about the actual report. And I even told them that I was in front of two different judges. Okay. One was near Conneaut in near Conneaut Lake, Linesville area. That judge was for the threatening text, and the marijuana charge was Meadville police. I was pulled over for crossing a double yellow line because there was a car that was just sitting in the road and they wouldn't move. And as soon as I went around him, two cops lit me up and they saw that I had something in the car, which my last conviction, I have a public drunkenness from about 10, 11 years ago. Yeah. That was a summary offense, fine, do some AA, and they closed it out. So this is but I mean, as far as like being arrested and brought in front of the judge, that hasn't happened since 2007 for anything. So I got
having issues with the, are you having issues with groups of people stalking you or flash mobs and when you're in businesses or driving?
Yeah, they walk that. Yeah, when I go in businesses, yes, they do all kinds of weird little things to get my attention, just harassment and just a bunch of bullshit. Yes.
Yeah, it only works if you know about it.
They'll have their phone up, like they signal and they do it all the time, and it's just like they do it in a way, it's very cunning and it's very but yeah, I've been experiencing this since for about a year and a half, really. It's getting closer to 2 years now that it's
how's that affecting your how's that affecting your way of life? I mean, how are you getting by with this constant surveillance and harassment?
I watch a lot of prayer channels. I do a lot of connecting with God. I go out when I do go out to like walk or exercise. I try to go far away, at least to a public park, at least where somebody, like not completely away from people, but just from as many people as possible. And it's just like, you just feel like stick to you. Like, no matter where you go or what you do, you just kind of feel like you never know if it's around the corner or not, and it's just
that's the idea. It's designed, it's psyops, it's psychological warfare.
Yes.
And it is designed to cause you to mentally deteriorate. And and long-term exposure to constant harassment can and will psychologically destroy an individual and then physically destroy an individual. So it's for someone that's never experienced this, you can just try to imagine that no matter where you are, what you do, there are people watching you, and they make sure that that they're watching you, following you. You hadn't done anything wrong, but that you have no privacy. And believe me, it will wear on you day in and day out.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, so what I do is I just stay in. I mean, my only issue, like I stopped drinking for about 2 years. I do very little alcohol, but my thing, I just do a little bit of weed just to cope with it. Now, when I was in Pittsburgh, I had a primary care doctor. I was doing bupropion, and I like through a part of this, I was not, but it's something that I don't even smoke cigarettes usually. I mean, on occasion now, but I mean, so like I'm not somebody that can't get sober and stay sober, but this makes it quite difficult. And I mean, people that are struggling with real drug addiction,
Right.
you know, yeah, I mean, like I take it as seriously. Like, I mean, it's like I still want to get a job, but I mean, like anybody can pass a marijuana test and like, like get flagged for marijuana and pass unless they decide that you're the one that they don't, because it's happened to me more than once since
Right.
this started. And when I bought my Jeep, okay, it was a 2020 Jeep Compass. I was making 24.50 an hour at a company called Great Lakes Cheese, and that was I drove over from Pennsylvania to Ohio. It was an hour drive each way, but it was the third shift, and I got like a lot of overtime there, and I was able to show that I could buy it. And I've been struggling to make the payments, but so far no repossessions on it. But I went from like my credit increasing, life was getting better, and then this blew open and it just blew the doors off of everything. And I've been living in my car trying to just try to figure this whole situation out. But I'm holding on. I'm underwater with the car. I've got over $6,000 financed out. So I was driving for Amazon Flex. I was terminated about 2 months ago. I drove for that platform for almost 3 years.
Yeah,
And
they want to financially destroy you. I don't know
yeah,
how many people that I've talked with over the years that
yeah,
have been financially decimated, and
yeah,
that's one of the objects. So they'll get in the ear of your employer, and it makes
yeah.
it difficult. So I'm
Well,
surprised.
the employers, a lot of the recruiters now are also, they'll screen you. And I mean, even if they don't have a directive on you, a lot of people just look at you and like, if you're not doing all the weird shit that they're doing, then they already know that they got to pay extra attention to you,
Right.
whether they know who you are or not, or whether or not they actually have the directive on you to actually
Right.
start up their thing. But there is yeah, I mean, it's just I'll just say it, it's the devil. Okay, that's it. And he can't be everywhere at once, but he is in so many places. It's just like, you can't like, and this is the psyops. It's not, but it's there's just so much to this, like both just on so many levels. And it's not just a psyop, it is actually spiritual warfare in
Absolutely.
truth.
Absolutely. This
Hmm.
is this is a very evil program. And I'm telling you that no one involved in this program, regardless of what role they play, from the federal government all the way down to your local people in the communities, going to fake churches, believing they're doing
Yes.
God's work. They're
Yeah,
not.
they got them all through here
This
too.
is absolutely an evil and demonic program. Don't
Yeah.
get it mixed up with anything other than what I just said.
And it's in the churches. This has existed for decades. It's been very well hidden, and like, it's just they're not really hiding it anymore. But they've been doing this since
Right.
I've been alive. You know, it's just yeah. So they're basically they're it's just weird Satanists in high places trying to bring us back to the Dark Ages.
Well,
Is
one of the things, James, they want you to do when you spoke about the drugs and alcohol is many targeted individuals resort to that,
hmm
and that's what they want is you to
yeah,
self implode. That's the whole idea
guilt,
of it.
yeah.
It's
Resort to
called a
some
no touch torture
yes,
program. Now
correct.
I know of circumstances where some people have gotten out of line, and that wasn't the case, but it's no touch. It's psychological. You think they're going to touch you. You believe that death is around the corner, or you may be shot or ran off the road and things. And I've had all those things happen to me.
Uh-huh.
So that is one of the sinister parts of this program. You're not the only one. When what you're telling me and the way your life is right now, you're speaking and telling the stories of thousands upon thousands of Americans that are experiencing the same things you're experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we've got to keep doing what we're doing. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a job, which that's positive.
Yeah.
Many targeted individuals
Yes.
are not allowed to maintain employment. They undermine it every time.
This is a very narrow door. This is a miracle from God. Like somebody came like an angel, and like these are her friends. I mean, we have separated, but she came and did everything she could to help me.
Good.
And I am still here in this position. And I tried to tell my boss last week. I suggested TI, and he looked at me like he didn't believe me. But I mean, I was just, I wasn't really specific, but I just kind of suggested it to him. Like, have you ever heard of the TI before? And he's like, why would you be a TI? And I didn't
Well, he
know
knew what
how
it
to.
was.
Well, he knew what it meant, but he's like, why would they do that to you? And like he didn't even believe it.
Right.
So I mean, and it's just like not everybody knows about this. I mean, this is happening to so many people, and that's why it's so much more important just to raise the awareness. Because
Right.
I mean, I do try to tell people. I mean, I called so many,
Do you
there's
think,
still
James? Do you think that your targeting had anything to do with someone in your family or something close to your family?
absolutely.
And who was that? What's the deal on that?
Okay, my stepdad again is Ed Vincent. He's with the I mean, I've never been he gave me a clear signal letting me know that he was in the Freemasons right as this was starting, because I saw him again, and it was basically like he said the word Mason in a way that was letting me know. And I had in that email I sent you, like I had that truck right behind my Jeep with a gold plate with a Masonic logo right in my
Yeah, you
mirror.
see,
I felt like
everywhere you see the stalking,
yeah,
you're going to see the Masonic emblems
I've seen it so many
and the
times, or things
military
like
emblems, veteran
or
emblems.
things that are, things that are like, like they're either like, this or WB Mason, who but the great, but I mean, it has either or something relating to it, whether it's an owl or, like a whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's just like they do all kinds of cryptic ways to let you know that they are watching you.
Absolutely, it only works
It,
if you know about it. There, if it was
it's
true
real American.
surveillance, if you
Yeah,
were a criminal, and this is for anybody out there that's wondering why you're under surveillance. If you're involved in criminal activities and you're under surveillance, 99.9% of the time, the first indication you have that you're under surveillance is when they put handcuffs on you. You're not
mm-hmm.
aware of it. So this is a different type of surveillance. And targeting, they want you to be fully aware that you're under surveillance. That's the torture. That's the power and the punch. And people, well, I don't know why I hadn't done anything. Well, you don't have to do anything. This is for whistleblowers or somewhat class envy, or maybe you just at the wrong place at the right time, or you irritated someone. There is a long list of what it takes to get on that list.
Exactly.
They need warm bodies. So the bar is very low, and it's usually evolved around a lie or a rumor. And the people that are involved in this, that are stalking you, they go with them. They don't. It's not investigated. It's and none of that stuff. They go with what the man with the badge says. They drink the Kool-Aid, and they're all for it. These are not godly people. These are people in your own community that pretend like they're good folks.
No,
but I'm telling you, they're not.
Mm-hmm.
So you reported. So you reported these. Get back to this. This this deal with Child Protective Services. How many reports did you make with them, and have you heard back from them, or do you know if anything was done with that?
I called them back for months. Each time they said there was no development. It was always somebody on the phone that was very undescriptive and just kind of I got to run around every time. I called the state attorney general's office, and I mean, like I sent it to KDK News in Pittsburgh. I sent screenshots of this thing everywhere, like even to people that I worked with, like places that I recently worked for.
Right.
I sent it to employers. Okay, I sent it everywhere I could so that people could see it. So, in all of
trying to do the right thing. And
Yes.
that's the thing.
Yeah.
I know of individuals that,
I'm a once convicted felon, and that was 17 years ago.
well, that hadn't got anything to do with it.
I know.
Now, but I will say that if you're a convicted felon, if you've been incarcerated, and this is millions, okay, then you can believe one thing: once you're released, you are on the list. You will be targeted. You are targeted. Recidivism is at highest it's ever been. It's a revolving door, and they want it to be a revolving door. They won't repeat business. That's why state and federal parole and probation officers fully cooperate with this program. Individuals released, or they say we want to help them integrate back into society and become productive members, blah, 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 blah. That's all window dressing, whitewash. You're set up to fail. It makes it very difficult, if not impossible, for a person that has been incarcerated to reintegrate and successfully make it in society. Many times they say, they can't get employment, and through a chain of events, many times they will resort back to what they were doing that got them in trouble in the first place, because that's the only thing they know to do to survive. That's what they want them to do. And bam, they're back in the system. It shouldn't be like that, but that in fact is the way it is. Very few people are able to beat the odds. And the only way you can beat the odds is that personal and close relationship with God. Other than that, I don't see anybody beating it, whether you've been incarcerated or not. As a targeted individual as a whole, if you don't have a relationship and you're not spiritually sound with that, then it's going to be a rough road ahead, because this is an evil program. Just like you said, James, it's evil. It's spiritual of the highest order.
It is.
So
I mean, when I got my felony, I took it, and I started college 7 weeks after I pled guilty to that. And that was one of the things that, after the Board of Pardons decided at the time not to give me a hearing, the lady on the phone, she was like, honey, I want to commend you. She was really nice about it. She was like, this application, everything you did to get this far was good. Unfortunately, right now you haven't met the criteria, and that was their reasoning. They're like, we need to see, like, but I had a lot of obstacles, and I mean, like, they knew that, but they also knew that, like, when they really want you to live your best life. And I was kind of somewhere in the middle. I was drifted off a little bit, got involved with, some stuff. And I mean, I had my criminal record, and I kept that at a minute. I kept that in line, but they just said, like, for us to actually take that off your record as if it never existed, like, you have to earn a pardon
for expungement, right?
Correct. The pardon is basically allows a felony to be removed,
Right.
And it's a state one.
Right.
So it's the state. It has to go through the state of Pennsylvania, and I had, like, it was I've already been eligible to reapply for over a year now.
Right. Good.
And so I mean, it's really just a matter of, like, when is the right time? Like, that's something that is a future goal, and I mean, like, right now I just have to take that for what it is. But I would certainly at some point like to at least try to do it again, and at least try to, I mean, it's just targeting individual program. I have no issue cooperating with the law. I don't want to act outside the law. Like, if I can't own a gun,
I think I've covered this in my last interview. You can be a hardcore criminal and turn your life around, and be targeted, and somehow the masses will go along with that. Well, they need to be targeted. And well, no, they don't. It needs to be handled within the constraints of the laws that are on the books. Things like due process and their constitutional rights. Now, but once this individual cleans his act up, or her act up, and they're raising the dead and walking on water, one would think that the targeting would change. It doesn't. If anything, they double down on it and do everything they can to drive that individual back in to the wrong things. So it hadn't got anything to do with trying to dissuade a person from breaking the law. Again, that's simply a talking point.
Right.
So from the outside looking in, well, yeah, we're trying to discourage bad behavior. Well, okay, well, we see that. We'll let you do what you're doing. No, they're not. What they're doing is they're systematically destroying an individual. When they can't get a job and they lose their children, CPS comes in and they take their children and oftentimes they don't get them back. CPS loses 100,000 children a year that are unaccounted for. So when you reported this case to CPS, it doesn't surprise me at all that there wasn't a follow-up or anything like that. The only thing that happened out of that is your targeting increased. Am I correct?
I mean, it was increasing at a steady rate, regardless of what I did. It seemed like it was already ramped up at the point where this occurred. And I actually felt, I didn't feel like it got, I feel like the more that I kind of like pushed through this situation, God opened a door out of nowhere and got me to Texas. Somebody found me on X, took me out to dinner, spent a couple $100 on me, and called her friend and had me, like, I'm working for her friend at the company. And that in itself, like that only, I mean,
what was the deal with that? Somebody met you on X, Twitter, and took you to dinner.
Yeah. So she took me out.
Were they stalking you or what?
No, they were trying to find out why I was being stalked. This person is an advocate for satanic child abuse, and she met with me, and I told her about my situation and basically the extent of, just how far it went. And she basically what she was able to do was get me this job. And so right now, right now it's really just, like without God, without something holy just looking down on me and just being there, I wouldn't have even made it this far. Like I would have been, like every night that I was able to either sleep in the car, do the Amazon, like just, I've never been touched. I've never been attacked, but I mean, it's like, I'm right at death's door. It's always like death is always at your heels.
Right. So they're always creeping around. That's to keep you on the edge.
Yeah.
What are your plans?
And I mean,
or do you have plans of trying to get your place without, you're living in your car now or you're living where you work?
Where I work. Yes, I do have plan. I need the Social Security card and I need a full-time job and I need to show 3 times rent and then I can get an apartment. I have no evictions across 5 apartments.
Right.
So there's no reason I can't get a place or get a job. And to my knowledge, I don't have any warrants or anything, but I haven't gotten my mail in the year. Any backdoor legal process they could have against me right now, I wouldn't even know about it because, or any of my mail, like they're stealing the mail. There's a channel, Gang Stalking by the Numbers. He confirmed that. He said they're stealing his mail. He's down in Atlanta, Georgia.
They'll steal your mail. I've had my mail stolen and reported it to the postmaster and nothing. They didn't get a response.
Yeah, I've made so many. I opened a PO
bomb
box.
Threats that I had a bomb in my mailbox. They didn't want to hear about that. And I've got the messages and recorded messages about that. Packages delivered that from Amazon, UPS, and they'd be open. They'd be opened up. They'd been gone through before I was able to get them.
Yeah, and it's like they've given me. I even opened a PO box like with my license and vehicle registration. UPS store, the same one in Cincinnati. I went back out there just to go to that one, paid them the $100, and it was before I even got to Texas. I opened that up, and the post office said we needed an address or we can't, and then it was through a PO box. just anything they could do, you know.
Right.
And I mean, I scanned it in Pittsburgh numerous times, got the barcode sent to a mailbox, but I mean, like they work behind the scenes to have people ghost me and just like quietly wash their hands of me.
Right.
So I mean, they've been doing this they've been doing this for a while, and I mean, like my plans moving forward right now is just basically this, like the profit in this business. I've been working 40 hours a week here, so I mean, like I've gotten a lot. You know, we just moved into another lot, so I've gotten a lot for my boss. I got $1, so I'm at $16 an hour. He gave me $1 raise, and he's basically just kind of, you know, like he's just is wondering. Like I try to get my birth certificate at the government Hope Restored Missions in Plano, Texas. Got a letter from Pennsylvania, no address. We can't send it. So the Social Security card, I put his own address. I was already over his house. So they celebrated my birthday. They cooked me a dinner and everything. And
That was nice.
yeah, it's really, you know, like these
Well, it
people,
sounds
like
like
they're
you've by divine intervention have found employment at a place that that is not down with the program. They're actually trying to
right.
help you and help
Yeah.
you get back on your feet. And that
Yeah,
is
and the
really a
reason I
blessing.
wanted to do this interview with you was to bring other awareness to people. Like, yes, this program exists, and a lot of people are not going to be aware or really understand. Like, they're going to understand something. Like, everybody knows the world is nuts and
And
demonic. Okay,
all
but
it takes is for a targeted individual to be working somewhere,
mhm.
and then a member of law enforcement, maybe
Oh yeah,
the mayor, something like that, fire chief, a member of the community with some
yeah,
standing, get in the ear of your employer and says, "This guy that works for you, we're watching him around the clock.
yeah.
He's into a lot of things that we can't talk about, but we're watching him." That's all they've
Hmm.
got to say, and it's like, why? I mean, what have I
Yeah,
gotten into here? And so
and that
now they're
goes
looking
down to
at you
the.
crazy, and
Hmm.
and then they start looking for ways to uh to get rid of you, or they
Yep.
join in and start taking
Yeah.
notes and fall in line and start the participating in this as well.
Well, here's the thing. When I got fired from Great Lakes Cheese, I didn't miss. I had one day that I had to go to court and fight my landlord from Cincinnati. I got a wrongful eviction. I got it overturned. I paid rent and they filed eviction after I paid it. So I had to go to
Wow.
2 court hearings. The second one, I went out there right before I got fired. It was on the other side of Ohio. So I was working in Northeast Ohio.
Yeah.
And so down in Cincinnati and back, you know, I had to use a day of in your 90 days, you get 2 days personal without points and whatnot. But I didn't have any points or any lates or anything. I worked overtime. I did my job, food safety. And it took 2 people to run the machine. Well, we had something, you know, the food got messed up and like they had a way to fire me and they just took it and ran with it. But I mean, I was harassed like the whole time I was there and just treated like garbage. And I just showed up with a good attitude. And I didn't take any bullshit. And like they were like, I had people face to face on multiple occasions. So at that building, there's surveillance all through the building. So they can't touch you. But
Right.
I mean, the aggression, like I never experienced it's just like the harder I try in a workplace, no matter what age or time and place in my life, like I've always noticed the harder I try and the more straight I keep myself, the worse it gets until I'm either
Right. There's
fired
no,
or I
yeah,
quit.
it's no win. It's a no win.
And
What
I've
you
had,
have to do,
yeah.
James, is live your life and succeed in
Mm-hmm.
spite of the fact that there's a
Yeah.
group of people that will do everything possible to keep
Mm-hmm.
you from succeeding, to discourage you,
Exactly.
make you wave the white flag, and you being essentially homeless. I'm telling you, I can't count the number of people that I've personally spoken with that are homeless, living out of their car. I'm talking about people that came from very successful backgrounds, individuals with PhDs can't find gainful employment, and they become transients from town to town, trying to live, trying to survive. And it's a horrible existence. And it shouldn't be happening. We shouldn't be having this conversation. in 2024 in the
Yeah.
United States, but we're having it. It's society as a whole is not progressing, we're digressing.
It's dying. Yeah, the society is dying all around us. And I mean, like, I don't want to go on like a I don't want to go on a tangent, but I mean, that's just, like the world right now is just sick, and it's just so much harder to call this out, when the whole world has something wrong with it right now.
Right. And we're
And
talking about one of the elements, or the major element. The problem is the evil and demonic presence in these programs and in these government programs and these officials that pretend and put on the face of good people, godly people,
yep,
law-abiding citizens doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And the scriptures warned us about these things. We're experiencing it now. That's what's going on.
My grandfather, who passed last year, was buried in a Masonic vault right off of Cemetery Lane in Pittsburgh. There's a Freemason temple right when you pass the cemetery right after it. So, I mean, I know like with the people involved with, and I mean,
the Freemasons love this, but they've recruited the Freemasons because they're masters in deceit. They're liars.
He is.
They serve another god.
He's all of that. He's all of those things. He's a counterfeit Christian. He's a counterfeit
religion.
I once called him a stepfather.
Just a fraternal organization is a religion.
You can't be a Freemason and a family member at the same time.
You can't be a born again Christian and a Freemason.
No,
that's impossible.
No,
you can't. You can't serve two masters. Period.
No. Yeah, so I mean, that's just the truth. I mean, people who I called family, my brother, he's got 2 marriages, he's got a bankruptcy. I don't know, but he was negative a couple years ago, $600,000. So what he was doing was basically just he's a predator, he's a creep, and he just, he's had so many people that he's been in court with that he's been threatened to stay away from. And he's friends with the son of Prosecutor Steven Zappala, personal friends. And they've told me over the years. So, I mean, even before this TI really ramped up, they've always let me know. Like, they've always had some shit to throw at me. And just, so this isn't really I had no reason to retaliate or come back and do this just to come back and be like, but no, after what I saw, like, they gave me every reason in the world to call them out. That is a gift, and today I'm taking that, and I'm gonna take this video today, and I'm gonna send it. I'm gonna send this to KDKA News. Megan Schiller is the lady that I was speaking to last, trying to get attention on the trafficking report. There's Wendy Bell. There's Real Iron Eagle from X. I never met him. He's just an X guy, but he's a Pittsburgher, and but I'm going to start cycling, and I just want everybody to see this and be aware of it. And, I really,
now, are you journaling and documenting what's going on?
Not as much as I should.
You should.
But I mean,
you should. It's simple. You can have a journal and just the things that are remarkable or things that you want to need to.
I mean, I take notes.
Write that down.
I do take notes and pictures.
Absolutely, especially in traffic. That it requires.
I mean,
videos, photographs, tag numbers, and things like that. Now, I want to caution targeted individuals that are doing this. I'm not telling you to constantly be videoing everybody and taking pictures. No. At least you turn in to one of these stalking moron perverts that are already doing that. So don't let that control your life. There's a time and a place for it. When they're doing this group stalking, or when you recognize this bizarre behavior, document it, snap the pictures. And stalking is a state and federal crime. Now,
I mean, whenever I can
report
get them,
these crimes, they're not going to do anything about it because you're reporting it to people who are doing it.
Yeah,
but you report it,
and this also start building your case to a lawyer. yeah, to a lawyer that knows, that like I need to sit through and go through all this. And once it's like really like documented properly and written out properly, present that to a lawyer and he will
Well, you're
know
not going
how.
to find a lawyer that's going to help you, James. That's
Yeah.
going to be
Okay.
difficult because there's not a lawyer breathing that's not aware of this program. And they also are aware of the fact that if they kick against the pricks,
Mhm.
they themselves will be targeted and experience the wrath of this program. That's why
Yeah.
this program seems to be unstoppable. But I'm uh, uh, yielding to the positive end of this, that I believe that it is stoppable. I don't believe that it's too big to fail. It's going to require one by one each targeted individual to start doing the right thing by documenting what's going on, building their evidence and their story up. And it's this is one of the most essential things. Not complaining about it and talking about it so much as you're doing the main thing is documenting it. And as you do this, James, you'll start learning and understanding more about this program, what they're doing, and how they're doing it. You'll be amazed at the education that you will receive from this, documenting and journaling the targeting. Do it for a couple of years, and I'll promise you, you'll become a master at it. You'll be able to spot it and then call them out and do it on a
Yeah.
regular basis. This eventually always changes their behavior. They're not going to stop, but they will change their stalking behavior.
No, I don't expect it. I mean, it's glow. I mean, like, there's people that have good, like they have higher levels of gang stalking where they try to get on the bus and they'll stop the bus. Now,
Yeah.
I've had them drive like weirder on me, like with the traffic, like they try to stop and get you go through a light. Like, I mean, like all their little tricks and all their little bullshit. I mean, like, like I've even driven, like they've shut my Jeep off a couple times. Now, I mean, like I did recently change the battery and the auxiliary battery, but when I was up in Cincinnati, I saw somebody just kind of doing something, like just weird. And I mean, it's just like my car shut off and it wouldn't turn back on for like
Your car?
it just, yeah, my car
I've
actually
had it
shut.
happen in a rental car. I had a phone conversation. I was on my way to purchase
Yeah.
a car. The minute that came out of my mouth, they
Yeah.
shut the vehicle down. The rental
Right.
car
So this is
agency,
what they,
which
this
was
is what the
Hertz,
car.
they did not.
Yeah.
We didn't do that, but they
Yeah.
do it.
Yep. Yeah. So I mean, it's an electric key fob. So I mean, like I bought what I thought at the time was like one of the state of the art, and it's like I'm not so sure, that I should have bought something that they could just turn off. And I mean, I know not all of the cars, I mean, they can turn off any car if they have the right equipment. They
You
can.
got it. Yeah, you've got to get a vehicle about 30 years old, and you got a chance at it. But the newer
Yeah.
vehicles,
Mm,
with the computers and stuff, they can do it easily.
yeah. Um. Yeah. So yeah, where I'm looking at, just with my, like how do I go forward knowing that this is what I'm going to deal with and live through from now on? Well, I mean, that's kind of what I wanted to come and talk. I mean, I know you don't have all the answers today. I don't expect you to, but at least to lay all this out, and just kind of like start somewhere. But I've already made progress. Okay, so I've made progress since I've been homeless for a year. And I'm
You've made
still home.
tremendous progress. You've done what many people are afraid to do,
Mm-hmm.
and that is to go public and tell your story and tell the world what's going on. And
Yep.
God forbid that we keep it a secret.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is a major step. So you're
Yeah.
doing a lot of the right things. Your spiritual life, you're working, and you're comprehending what's going on, and
Yeah.
you're doing a lot of the right things. You're heading in the right direction, James.
Yeah, you got to keep the devil under your heel, and you do. And I mean, this isn't just. I mean, I'm getting this from other people that have said this, but you got to keep him under your heel. If not, he's going to have you under his.
Absolutely.
This is so you. I mean, like not speaking up is not an option. I mean,
Absolutely.
unless there are extreme, like relevant circumstances to why you wouldn't, it's not an option. Like there's no way out of this. I mean, the only way out is forward, and that's
Right.
worked so far.
That's it.
So,
And let me tell you, I don't have all the answers, and I absolutely don't understand everything that they're doing as far as torturing and targeting people. I know the talking points, but I'll promise you, I don't try to get into the mechanics and the schematics of some of the things that they're doing, but I do know that they're doing them. However,
mm-hmm.
God absolutely knows what they're doing. He sees what they're doing. He's not abused. And so if your faith is placed in the right place, then you let him worry about that, and you worry about your relationship with him and keeping your eyes on him, not on the world and what they're doing. Let him handle that.
God is out there. We just have to seek him. I have found that on this journey. I have found that to be true.
Absolutely.
So if you seek him, you shall find.
Absolutely. Well, James, I want you to give just parting comments here for everybody. If there's something that you can say to other individuals that are affected and family members that are affected by this program, what advice would you give them?
Start documenting everything. Like you said, speak up. If you have X, if you can meet somebody like I did on social media, but start speaking out, start taking pictures, and just, I mean, that's really the best place to start. And just don't give up. I mean, I lived in my car for a year, and I did not have any way out in sight. A lot of the churches are going to be corrupt, but not all of them. Like keep going to church and keep seeing.
It's a shame, but that's the truth.
Yes, but like just as you're making your way through, keep checking churches because you will find good ones too.
They're absolutely are good ones. They are good. They're godly people out there.
Yeah,
and
the church isn't dead; it's just been stolen.
But you've got in 2024, you have these mega churches.
Yeah,
that, and I won't get on that are preaching anything but the word of God, and they're serving another God, a different master. But there are people out there that are suffering, that have nowhere to turn. They feel like they're at the end of their rope. They're on the edge. They've lost everything. They're hopeless. And my message to them is there is hope. You're not alone. If you're on the edge, back away from the edge. Get off the rope. There are other people that are going, and people that will help you, that care about you.
Yeah.
I do. That's what we do here. Follow my channel. I've got blogs I write, and I give as much good information as possible that you can digest and process that will help you succeed and excel in spite of this program and what they're doing to you. There is a way out. What I mean by a way out of the muck and mire and the rut that this program has put you in to destroy you. We can't let them defeat us.
No. And I mean, I will say this, just one last thing. If you are dealing with any dangerous people or anybody that's making you feel uncomfortable, making your skin crawl, get away from them fast, especially if you are a targeted individual. If you have a vehicle to sleep in, or if you have somewhere else to go there. Do not be there around those people or in that place any longer than you have to.
Go with your gut instinct.
I can't emphasize that enough. Get out fast.
I agree. Every time I've not gone with my gut instinct, I always regretted it. We always second, and that's another part of the program. Have you questioned?
It's just you don't expect it from your own. Yeah,
maybe I'm imagining things. Maybe I'm overthinking this. Maybe you're not. And when you sense that these people were bad news, run with that. Don't second guess it or try to say, "Well, maybe they're not." I've always regretted that. Well, James, I appreciate it.
Same.
And we we communicate on a regular basis, folks, and on Twitter. I don't know what other social media that you're on, but I communicate with a lot of victims, more than I can count, on a regular basis. That's what I do. And I appreciate it, James. And folks,
Yes.
remember, subscribe and share this video with people that are absolutely unaware of this program and what's going on. And hopefully we can educate some folks and bring awareness to this. James, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, Rich.
If you need anything, you know how to get me. And folks,
Absolutely.
until next time, God bless you. Let's see here.